Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm, and when they come into a local market, it really shakes things up for these local personal injury lawyers. They get very nervous because of Morgan & Morgan's behemoth advertising budget. There are reports out there that Morgan & Morgan spends approximately $350 to $400 million on advertising per year. Our agency works with a lot of personal injury lawyers. The top 1% of personal injury lawyers in a local market is going to exceed $1 million in advertising spend. Morgan & Morgan, when they enter a local market, they're spending around $10 million according to my sources. So the purpose of this video is I'm going to do a deep dive into Morgan & Morgan's advertising strategy. And if you are a personal injury lawyer, I'm going to show you where there are opportunities when it comes to your marketing. So just because they have a huge budget doesn't mean you can't surpass them in certain areas. When Morgan & Morgan enters a local market, they go on a media blitz. And like I alluded to earlier, they're spending approximately $10 million. This metric is coming from my conversation with a lot of other personal injury lawyers. So it's not a stat that's out there. It's just a ballpark. But of that 10 million, when they're entering a local market, the high majority of that is spent on billboard, TV, radio. Those are the most expensive forms of media. My guess is 80 to 85% of their ad budget is going towards those traditional channels. They are still running Facebook ads, Google pay-per-click ads. Their website is optimized for SEO, but there is an opportunity here because yes, they are going after the TV, the radio, the billboard. And if you don't have a huge budget, it could be hard to get placement on all of those channels, but there is an opportunity on the digital side, and that's what I'm going to dive into. In 2025, Morgan & Morgan entered Richmond, Virginia, which is the 43rd largest market in the United States. And this became big news in Richmond because, a top 10 market, you'll notice Morgan & Morgan's ads, but there's a lot of big advertisers in a top 10 market, but when you get to like a number 40 market and a Morgan & Morgan comes into town, they are everywhere. The local newspaper ran an article on just their overall media blitz. So what I did is I dug into the Richmond, Virginia market and I started looking at Google. Are there opportunities to surpass Morgan & Morgan? Sure, they have the TV, they have the radio, they have the billboards, but where do those opportunities lie? So let's dive into this a little bit. Okay, so here's a search for Richmond, Virginia personal injury lawyer. Right at the top here are Google local service ads. There is no Morgan & Morgan. You go into the AI overview of the top Richmond personal injury lawyers. There is no reference of Morgan & Morgan. You go down to the local pack. It's 3 local businesses. No reference of Morgan & Morgan. And then even when you go down to the organic results on the first page of Google, no reference of Morgan & Morgan. So Google, their search engine, is clearly giving favoritism to businesses in Richmond, Virginia that have been there for a long time. I replicated this search across multiple other markets, and I was not seeing Morgan & Morgan with page 1 exposure. There were plenty of markets where I saw their PPC ads, but in terms of organic placement on Google, this is where there's a big opportunity, and I just wanted to point this out. Another tactic you can deploy is bidding on Morgan & Morgan's brand name on Google Ads. So here is a search for Morgan & Morgan Columbus. You'll see they're bidding on their brand name to protect it, but there's nobody else bidding on this keyword. Well, when Morgan & Morgan is spending $5-10 million in a local market, there's a lot of brand awareness, and people are going to be doing this search, Morgan & Morgan Columbus, Morgan & Morgan Virginia. For personal injury keywords, In many instances, these can be $70, $80 a click when you're bidding on car accident lawyer. Take advantage of their brand lift. Morgan & Morgan's bid on their PPC brand name. Obviously, you want to track conversions to see if this comes through. But if you're bidding on this, somebody's searching for them, they see your ad, they call you, you have a script ready where you know to say, hey, we're a local law firm. We've been around for 30 years. So this is a good tactic that can take advantage of all of the money they're spending in your local market, and you could use it as an advantage for your firm. All right, just to give you some data points to back this up, this is SEMrush, the SEO keyword tracking tool, and this is an overview of the Richmond, Virginia market. I just took a couple of PI attorneys, including Morgan & Morgan, Marks & Harrison, 10.24% visibility, Richmond Injury Law Firm, 50% visibility. Amazing in 2026 how keyword-heavy domain names still can have a positive impact. And for the people, which is Morgan & Morgan, it's only a 4.91% visibility. And so you go down here, and here are just some keywords. Richmond car accident lawyer. Morgan & Morgan is ranking 21st. Richmond, Virginia personal injury lawyer, they're ranking 28th on Google. Richmond truck accident lawyer, they're in the top 10, but ranking 8th. So yeah, Morgan & Morgan's SEO in each local market, that is where there is a big opportunity, but that's not the only place. So let's continue diving into it. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Facebook Ads Library, but it's like the greatest hack. You can go to Facebook Ads Library and you can look up any competitor's social media ads in the advertisements that they have running. And Morgan & Morgan has hundreds of ads running. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and this is a market where Morgan & Morgan has recently entered. I have been flooded with I have seen their TV ads. I've seen their billboards. I've heard them on the radio. I've seen their Google PPC ads. I actually haven't gotten served any Facebook ads, and you would think I'm in market because we work with a lot of PI attorneys, and I'm searching for a lot of those sort of queries, but haven't seen a ton of that. Anyway, when you go into their Facebook ads library, they're running a ton of advertisements. I mean, it's massive. There are hundreds of ads. I could not find any of their social media ads that were localized. I literally copied the 1,000 ads that they have running. I put it into Claude. I asked Claude to find any local reference on any of these social ads, and I was not able to find. It was not able to locate any. So what that means for your firm is there is an opportunity here. You need to really get localized with your messaging and double down on Facebook. I previously said there's an opportunity on Google. There's an opportunity with Meta ads. Yeah, TV ads are really expensive, but you can distribute your message for a much lower cost. And if you have a really good ad, it could be a really good bang for your buck. And I'm going to show you a PI attorney that we work with and how we came up with a strategy based off of this. So this is personal injury attorney Scott Schiff. He's been practicing in the Columbus market for over 35 years. We really wanted to showcase his personality. We recorded a video where he gave a tour of his practice. He was introducing, the camera and viewers to his staff. He was making it very localized, talking about how long they've been in the market, how they only deal with clients in the in the central Ohio area. And so we started running this on Facebook, and the ad performed extremely well. The local component really hit home. And just be thinking about this. How can you get localized with your social media creative? If Morgan & Morgan is coming into your local market, are they going to take up market share? Yes. Are there ways to combat this? Absolutely. I just proved a couple of those points. Hopefully you found this video helpful. My name is Jason Parks of The Media Captain. We are an agency that specializes in digital marketing for all businesses, but we do a lot of work with personal injury law. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to The Media Captain on YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can reach us at themediacaptain.com. Thanks so much.